This is Fritz Frivolous with continuous live coverage of the corner of Curious Lane and Just Because Boulevard, the epicenter of the alien invasion. And this just in, King Kong is fighting the Mobile Suit Gundam. And of course, all of this is happening amidst World War IV, making it pure pandemonium. If only Captain Planet were still alive to save us all. Dude, could you imagine? Beam me up. A phrase made famous by the television show Star Trek. A powerful piece of technology allowing humans and objects to be transported a great distance without actually having to traverse that distance physically. Within seconds, you are dematerialized in one location and then rematerialized in another. What if this technology existed in our world? What if you could be teleported from one country to another within seconds? Would you use it? Let us confer with two of the world's leading transport technicians, Will and Tom, as they try to traverse this question and find an answer. Welcome back, everybody. This is Tom Case.
This is Will Stark.
Will, I know we've already talked about this subject matter before, and I think it was definitely everyone who chimed in on this definitely said teleportation is their best and favorite power.
Yeah, because it's the best one.
Okay, so this question is slightly different, but it's on the same subject.
Okay.
What if you had the technology to teleport? Would you use it? And what I mean by teleport is this time is not going to be like a power. Mm-hmm. It's the ability through technology has now been the ability to teleport through technology has now been invented, both for public and private use. And specifically, what I would be talking about is like a Star Trek style.
Yeah, I know. It's not going to be stepping through a portal. It's going to be molecular disassembly.
Mm-hmm. And the objective is just to see, would you use it? If not, why would you not use it?
No, I wouldn't use it.
I know. I already knew that you would not use it.
Not if I could avoid it.
Yeah, I was always thinking about this. I had dreams on this actually before too, which brought me back to the other piece of technology we were talking about in our other episodes, which was the replicator. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I would have to try and use this. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't want to be the first. You know what I mean? Like if they just
we're saying it's tried and true.
It's been tried and true now because the public has access to it.
Absolutely.
But I think I would. You know what I mean? I feel like if it's already been tested like that, not to say, you know, that there's probably not going to be accidents.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Be horrible accidents.
I'm not even really concerned about the accidents part. Mm-hmm. For me, it's the break in consciousness, like the question of does or does not that actually equal death. And like,
I see what you're saying.
Are the people teleporting to and from home and all about, are they committing, a dozen suicides a day and not knowing it? You know what I mean? Like, what does it mean to be a person? You know what I mean? What is death? What is the soul? Does the soul exist?
Or your consciousness? Like, if that's what that is, you know what I mean?
It's like is the person who steps outside the other teleporter a clone that thinks they're me? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then like my consciousness breaks, so like I'm dead. I no longer perceive anything. That new person just has my memories. And then when they teleport later on, they die. And so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Granted, like, there's a lot of arguments saying what is it irrelevant? Like, one could argue that falling asleep and falling unconscious is a break in the conscious, continuum.
Yeah.
And we're not the same from every given moment. You know what I mean? We're in constant flux and change. And the person I am today is not the person I am tomorrow necessarily, depending on how you look at it.
Well, this is getting more philosophical than I thought it would.
Oh, really? I thought that's literally where you wanted this to go.
That's good.
Okay.
No. Well, I don't have any expectations of where it's going to go, but I do like how you brought it there because you're right. That would be something you really need to delve into if this is going to be true.
Have you seen The Prestige?
No,
you need to fucking see that movie.
Wow, a movie I haven't seen, then you have?
Well, it's just like, spoilers for The Prestige. Change it now. You've been warned. Like, well, okay, now I don't want to tell you because you're going to see the movie.
Is it that bad that if you told me, it would...
yeah, pretty much. It ruins the whole movie.
Who stars in The Prestige?
Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale.
Ooh, two actors I really do love.
And Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, and Scarlett.
And David Bowie.
Ooh, and David Bowie. Wow.
It's an excellent movie.
Okay, I'm going to have to watch this movie.
All right, we're going to move on, and then once you've seen it, we'll old news it, because it is so pertinent to this subject matter. But anyways, Yeah, so the Thousand Little Deaths, I mean, I may be being a little bit illogical in my fear, but like, I enjoy being alive a lot. Like, I know that sounds silly to say, but like, a lot of people have a lot of reasons to not enjoy life. Like, life can be hard, my life has been very hard, but especially the last few years, I could not be happier. And I'm very, very lucky for that. But I exceptionally enjoy living and doing and making and being. And I wouldn't want to break that.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have to use this tech, I wouldn't.
Oh, I see. So the only way to use it would be if you were technically forced to have to use it.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I would imagine that in a world in which this technology is tried and true and is now available to the public, it's only a matter of time before, much like having a car in California or not having the internet, you just can't live without it. And if you do choose not to,
it would be very difficult.
It's an incredible hardship. I think I would go to the extent of like moving, like if I needed to relocate constantly to get to a place where it's like, okay, life here is possible without teleportation. I would go that far.
Yeah.
But in the end, if I had to, I would have to make my peace with it. And it wouldn't be that far of a stretch. You know, I already do a thing where I treat myself like I'm 3 different people. I have past self, present self, and future self. You know, like, it's how I trick myself into doing things. Cause like, you know, I'll procrastinate, but if like I am beholden to someone else, I will be more on time and more responsible and more on top of things. So if I need to like do a list of errands, you know, I trick myself by being like, okay, so if present me does all this, future me is going to be really happy.
Yeah.
And what happens is I do it because I've tricked myself. And then future me is really happy. I'm like, thank you, past me. Like, thank you for biting the bullet, you know, and I'm going to pass it forward because now present me knows that now future me has things that he'll be happy if I get done. So like, I have this whole, it might be insanity. But anyways,
I have a nosebleed now.
Right. But like, so like, it's not that far fetched for me to start kind of like doing that with the teleportation. It's like, okay, well, you know, morning me needs to go to work so that work me can work so that home me can, you know, be here for my family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it would drive me crazy and I probably would be very unhappy about the situation, but like, there would be nothing I could do about it.
Man, now that everything you've said, if this technology ever does become true, I'm just going to stand in front of one of these transporters and I'm probably going to go, God damn it, Will. Thanks. You know, thanks for making me think of all this.
You might walk in and the person that walks out is not you.
Now, I have actually had that thought before.
Yeah.
To be honest, it does scare me because it does make me think like, you know, like, me, like, I know me because I am me right now and I am myself. But once you go through that, you know, if it can't transfer this, whatever you want to call it, consciousness, essence, whatever it is, and whatever comes out on the other side, if it's not transferring that, I won't know that it's me. It's just this other copy of me that thinks it's the original that got transported. Yeah. You know,
here's the thing. So, like, how does this tech work? Like, is it literally transporting the molecules or is it like getting a reading of the molecules and then reassembling identical molecules on the other end?
So I tried to look up a kind of detail. This is not actually very detailed though of how the Star Trek science works for their transporter. So the transporters convert a person or object into an energy pattern, and they call that a dematerialization. And then it gets beamed to a target location where it gets rematerialized, or the matter gets reconverted and constructed in the exact manner as it was deconstructed.
Right. So what I'm asking is it possible for there to be a malfunction where you end up not getting sent? Or it gets sent, but you stay, and now there's another you. So
this is not from what I could look up. This is from my own memory. There's some episodes of Star Trek Next Generation where something like that does happen.
Okay, so if that happens, I'm never getting in that fucking teleporter.
Yeah, because what they have, if I remember correctly, and I'm going to nerd out, so let me put my glasses on and push them up. I remember that I think they have something that they call the pattern buffer. And what ends up happening is it saves your pattern, right? This is definitely where you're talking about if your consciousness, essence, whatever you want to call it, this is where that's going to become the factor, because what they actually did was they found out where this pattern buffer saves your pattern. That's what it does in case that there is something that goes wrong and there's a malfunction. And in certain episodes, that's exactly what happens. And they find out that they have to go and hopefully go back into this pattern buffer to extract your pattern, right? Your molecular pattern, which is now information, before it degrades. It can only be in there for a certain amount of time.
Right.
And that's what exactly, that's
so,
what
I mean, that's
so
death. It's what it is.
Death, you know
it's
what I mean?
Death.
So technically, on what your definition of being alive still, you know, if you're dematerialized in such a way, are you alive? You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be that type of question.
It's also like, have you ever heard of the ship of Theseus paradox? Have we talked about this?
Talked about.
Okay.
I think we had this conversation in one of our other episodes too.
Oh, did we? Okay.
Yeah, where you were talking about how little by little, if this ship is being replaced, is it still technically that same ship, or is it a completely new ship because all the old pieces have now been replaced with new pieces?
Yeah. And then what if at the same time someone took all those old pieces and reformed the ship from the old pieces? So now you have two ships that are called the ship of Theseus. Which one is the real one? It's a similar situation if
that is.
Of the two Toms that are left after this accident, which is the real Tom.
And that's the thing too. And we might have talked about it in the exact same episode. Another episode on Star Trek, though, Next Generation. There was William Riker, one of the characters on that show, finds out that there was this tragedy that happens. Right, he had to at the last minute he gets beamed off of this ship, but he didn't know that because there was a malfunction, his pattern got resent to the same spot that he got transported from. And so there ended up being two Will Rikers, but no one knew about the other one because they thought that they got him out. So let's go. And they abandoned that ship. Yeah. Well, he had to survive on that ship. So they end up finding him years later. And he finds out that, he has a clone because the transporter malfunctioned. You know what I mean? And it was definitely...
That's some crazy stuff, man. But yeah, I'm not getting in that teleporter unless I absolutely have to. Unless it's the nice ones that just open a portal I can step through.
You know, let's say if it was the portal, how would you figure that would work? Would you figure a portal is meaning like the basic definition of a teleportation, which is you traverse, or without traversing the physical space, it opens up like a wormhole essentially or something that you...
I mean, I'm not a scientist, Tom. No, I would imagine it's the whole concept of like bringing 2 points in space-time to a single point. The whole idea, which, I think wormhole is a big part of it. I don't know how it would work, but again, I'm picturing like a gate scenario where it's like a big gate that can pinpoint to a
almost
location.
Like Stargate?
Like Stargate, which I've never seen, so I don't actually know.
I never watched it. I've just seen commercials and stuff.
That you would then step through to get to the location you're trying to get to.
I almost did go that route with this question because I love Rick and Morty. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but
I watched the first season. Yeah,
Rick really has this portal gun. You know what I mean? And that's. I was thinking about it like that too.
Yeah.
But I was figuring if a certain type of technology were to come about, I kind of feel like this would probably be the one that would. I
think both are as far-fetched as each other, really.
Oh, really? Yeah. I would feel like for some reason, though,
just
like
the amount of data in the human, in anything, but in the human body, it would be staggering. So,
I did try to look up some type of, Fritz facts here. I didn't really get a lot. For obvious reasons, teleportation doesn't exist.
As far as you know.
Yeah, I know. Like, let's hope the government isn't listening right now. But no, just playing. No, so scientists discovered teleportation is possible, but only at the quantum level. Like, there is no way, anything of any size value can get teleported. But what they actually meant on the quantum level of how it's possible is like they actually were able to get like the state of a molecule being transported to another molecule at a vast distance, so you can tell the state of one molecule by the other.
Interesting.
But that's only on the quantum level. So like none of this is even ever, you know what I mean? Like it's not even close to really teleportation.
It's not actionable.
It's not actionable. Exactly. Gotcha. Yeah. The term teleportation was invented by an American writer, Charles Fort, in 1931. I thought that was kind of interesting. I would have thought teleportation, would be something that a scientist probably would have.
Well, number one, scientists are actually notoriously terrible at naming anything. It's a big thing in the scientific community. They're very bad at it. It's just not their forte.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny you say that because another part of I didn't write this down, but it said Albert Einstein actually was very perplexed. He was trying to solve things about teleportation, and what he called it was scary physics.
Yep,
that's what
I'm telling you, it's so bad it's comical. The other thing though is it's really like a logical jump from the word transportation.
Yeah, that's true.
Or like telephone or telegram. Mm-hmm. It's like things from long distance, but porting it over.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of times too, I forget the phrase that people use, but it's like, all the things from fiction, like a writer or whatever, then becomes reality later because it's influenced, what someone wrote at one point later may become available. Like someone can actually do it. Sure. And then they would,
I'll say this. If I was a scientist and I made a discovery, and I needed to name it, I would definitely try my hardest to become good friends with a good writer so that then I could be like, friend, help me name this thing. Let me explain it to you the best I can and want you to name it.
That's a good idea. Because I know if I was a scientist that could invent a technology that can teleport, I would be calling it the transporter, just from Star Trek. Because I'm a total fan. I would be like, I fanboyed out and be like, I created the transporter, Which is the last Fritz facts I have on this. In 1965, the pilot episode of Star Trek became very popular because of the characters used teleportation to go between planet and ship.
Right.
But dude, could you imagine?
Breaking news, a new study suggests leaving an iTunes review is very important for newly created podcasts. So to nurture your new favorite podcast, make sure to leave an iTunes review. This has been Fritz Frivolous, reminding you to like, comment, and subscribe. Will and Tom, back to you.
Hello, and welcome to Fritztopia. This is your friendly reminder to give all praise to Fritz Frivolous, our great and benevolent ruler, every hour, on the hour. Thank you for living in Fritztopia. Bye-bye.
Fritzy, what are you doing? You're spacing out here. Why are you sleeping on the job?
I'm sorry. I was just resting my eyes.
Yeah, sure. Get back to work.
And we're back.
Indeed.
So, Will, one of my favorite stories or like type of story or movie to watch is things that have to do with like a world that's different from ours. Like not too different, but something that like changed to where now it's like, ooh, what if you lived in a world that was like that? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, so a lot of times my wife always makes fun of me because she's always like, oh, why would you want to watch such a weird movie? But I love those weird movies.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, I have examples here, but let me ask you the question first.
Okay.
And that is, what if you could create your own utopia?
Interesting.
And the parameters are, you have been given the power of creation. You can now create your own world or society, or even the current world we live in now, how you see fit. So if you didn't want to start from the, building your own world from the ground up, or however you want to do it, just start to where you would think so. But let me, while you think about this, let me actually go through these, Fritz facts.
Yeah.
So the word utopia, Sir Thomas More invented the word for his 1516 book, Utopia. The book was about a fictional island in the Atlantic Ocean. The word has been used to describe both a perfect society and societies in literature. Mm-hmm. Now, here are some of now, these aren't the movies she would say I'm weird about. There's just some other movies, like certain things too, like in movies like Black Mirror, or they're not a movie, but like shows.
Yeah.
It has certain things where they're like, one was like, what if you lived in a society where, I think it was like, in order to get money, you have to go and go to these like, I don't know what you would call them, like hostels, right? Where you just have a room and an exercise bike. And
you're talking about the 1 million credits episode.
Yeah, the 1 million credits. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Stuff like that. I love watching things like that. Where it's
sure.
like, man, could you imagine if you're in there? Mm-hmm. Now, the three movies that came up when I was searching for like movies about utopias or dystopias, which would be worlds that are like broken and it's like not good to live in. Mm-hmm. One of them that came up I ended up seeing actually all three of these movies. One is called Elysium, starring Matt Damon.
That's a dystopia. That's not a utopia at all.
No, that's a dystopia.
Okay,
yeah.
for sure.
The thought behind it though is just to have like this world that's different from ours. Like, what if you were to live in that? Right. But yeah, when we get back to the question, I do want to know how you would create yours. Maybe you would create a dystopia,
right?
Who knows? But Elysium is a world that is divided into two factions: the ultra rich who live aboard a luxurious space station, and the rest who live a hard scrabble existence in Earth's ruins. The next one was, I don't know if you've seen this, it's called What Happened to Monday.
No.
Oh, that's a really good one. I think you might actually really like that. It's starring Nomi Rapace or Rapace. I don't remember how to say her last name.
I think it's Rapace.
Or Rapace?
I think
maybe it's Rapace.
Yeah.
This one's written out just like you would hear like on an ad. In a world where families are allowed only one child due to overpopulation, resourceful identical septuplets must avoid governmental execution and dangerous infighting while investigating the disappearance of one of their own sisters. And then the third movie, I know you like.
Oh.
Dread. And that's definitely dystopia.
That's super bad.
Yeah. But first original Dread was starring Sylvester Stallone.
I've never seen that one.
Yeah. And then the remake, which was another actor we both love, is Carl Urban.
Love that movie.
Carl Urban is such a good actor.
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic. But I love that movie in particular.
Yeah.
But
I remember you recommended me to watch the remake because I'm always kind of like, but I've seen the original. The original's so good, and then I finally watched it and I was like, oh, that's really good. That
Very much enjoyed it.
In that one, society had made choices and enacted certain laws that allowed law enforcement to act as judge, jury, and executioner to combat the ultra-violent crimes being committed. So those mainly were dystopias, and I think a lot of movies do choose to do that because if you live in a perfect world, then nothing's happening. Why are you going to watch this movie?
Right.
It's gonna be boring.
I'm trying. Star Trek's the only one where it's like a utopia. Pokemon's kind of a utopia.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still conflict and stuff that happens. That's why it's not always on Earth, right? Because Earth would be the utopia,
Right. I don't think utopia means it's a world without conflict. It's just supposed to be like a highly idealized society.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is a tough question for me because I don't like playing God in these theoretical situations. It gives me not that thinking about it gives me anxiety, but I know if I was in that situation, I would have high anxiety about the situation. I don't think I have a detailed answer for this one, but it would definitely be a society that has access to 100% clean energy.
Would this be through? Okay, so are you taking a world? Is it just like Earth? The world is going to be Earth, right?
Yeah, probably.
So this clean. So you're talking about it's through society. They're gaining this clean energy, not because of the world, right? Not because the world may have its own.
No, I mean I would think through technology. So, I mean I guess it would have to be a blend between solar and wind and water, and I think nuclear fission is acceptable. I'm not sure or fusion is acceptable. Mm-hmm. As far as I know, that I think it's a pretty acceptable clean form of energy. Not that we know how to do it yet. We don't, but but theoretically, once we do, it could be a very clean. And you get to create this,
so maybe your society does know how to do this.
For me, I guess what I'm trying to do is to design my ideal world that I would want to live in is I would like us to have our metropolitan areas are more not condensed isn't the right word, but I would like a city-state kind of setup. Because one of the things living in Southern California that gets to me sometimes is everywhere you look, no matter where you go, for the most part, there are man-made structures, concrete, lights, and electricity for as far as you can see in every fucking direction.
Okay.
And I don't know. Sometimes it gives me anxiety, man. And I'm just 100 years ago, 200 years ago, all this was open country, and we have terraformed this planet into asphalt and concrete. And it just gets to me sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes I just get the urge to drive out into the middle of the desert where I can look in a goddamn direction and not see a single man-made object. And so I would want to live in a world where like our cities are kind of like city stated out, and in between the big city states, rather than sprawling fucking suburbia for 1,000 miles, it's open wilderness and countryside. You know what I mean?
So, now I'm not confused with what you're saying. So you're saying like everything where you want to do for work and living, or maybe, whatever, all that stuff is just going to be like, it's like a giant city, but that's one state.
Yeah, but like a clean energy city. It's, there's no homeless, there's no poor, everyone's provided for. You only work if you want to. People are allowed to pursue their endeavors, and we're not fucking up the planet, and there's plenty of wilderness to be seen and experienced.
In between
all the city-state areas. I mean, that's really all I got. It's hard for me to make decisions on what's the perfect society. You know what I mean?
Well, how would you deal, let's say, with crime? Like let's put it to the test of like, okay, you have the society, they have the clean energy, and like you even said, everyone being provided for, that may cut down on a lot of crime, because a lot of crime, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe a lot of crimes happens because there is the people who don't have, a lot of basic necessities, you know what I mean, that they should have. So, but like, let's say the other types of, crimes, whatever, is there a way that you foresee, like, okay, would you have it like very rigid, like law enforcement, almost like a Judge Dredd, where it's going to be like, no, if you mess up and you commit this crime, no matter how big or small, you're going to get a heavy sentence.
This is where it's hard for me to make any type of decision, because like, again, if I am making the decision, then I'm just some sort of dictator deity, and it's hard for me to trust my own judgment. You know what I mean? What I think is moral and ethical right now could change drastically 10 years from now when I'm wiser and have experienced more things. Like, so true. I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I guess I would try and lean towards a criminal justice system that was far more focused on reforming people than just putting them away and punishing them. Like, I don't want a justice system focused on punishment. Punishment doesn't fix anything. Punishment is it's like vengeance. It's just fucking useless. So
they go through the system like that, and they just come out even a more hardened criminal because of the fact that they're in this place that's punishing them. Yeah. They're going to feel something about it. They're going to feel jaded on that. They're going to feel like they may want revenge. And then they're in there with other criminals that are like, they just sharpen their craft, I feel like.
Yeah. And then when it comes down to like the unreformable, if that's a thing, like, are there some people that are unreformable? Maybe, probably. I don't know. What would I do with them? I don't know. Cast them out in the wilderness? I don't know. Like, or maybe just make a place where they can live and have all their needs met, and they can't hurt anyone
like
anymore.
The island.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to.
There's another movie. Oh. And that's exactly what they do. They send all their quote unquote criminals. It ends up being they send anyone that the government doesn't interview.
Yeah.
But it did start off as
I'm like, theoretically, like, this is a perfect world I'm creating, right? So I guess the truly unreformable have to be put in a place where their needs are met, and like they can pursue their own endeavors, but they can't be given the ability to hurt anybody.
Yeah, I think
I don't know how you achieve that, actually. So
yeah, I know that this would be a hard question. I mean, there's no real right or wrong answers because there's no way that we know that would happen. But I do remember hearing, it might be in Iceland or maybe it was in Sweden or somewhere, where they're, the way that they treat criminals there is like there really is no. I mean, okay, yes, there's a quote unquote prison, right? But it's not like the prisons of the United States,
right?
They're not behind bars like that, and in fact, they do kind of what you're talking about. They, instead of like them just going through and being punished and now you can't do this, they actually, they're put into like these education systems, and they have people that go and they try to reform them. They see counselors, they see psychiatrists, whatever it is that they may need, and they're not treated as a prisoner. They're actually still treated with respect and everything. And, I mean, who knows? Maybe if there's other factors at play here, but they have a very low crime rate, way lower than ours. What I mean? So I sometimes figure like, we may need to change up how we do things, especially in that aspect.
1,000%.
I when I was thinking about this question, I was coming up in my head. I was like, you know what? I would want to have like a society that's very focused. One of the main focuses is clean energy and education, right? And then I started thinking like, yeah, and you know what? If it was going to be like this quote unquote, perfect society, utopia, whatever, how would I deal with crime and stuff like that? And I caught myself actually already thinking, and again, this is from Star Trek, The Next Generation, but there's an episode where they go and visit this planet and like everyone there is beautiful, right? And they're in shape. And one of the reasons is because the way they travel there, everywhere they go to, they're jogging. So like they're always jogging. Everyone is allowed to experience anything they want, as long as and if it's with someone, as long as the other person is consenting. And I realized like, man, this is all the ideas I was having was all from this episode. So I don't know if I just got it from this episode, but yeah, it was like they were high on education, but the way that they dealt with crime, I thought was the most, I thought it was kind of like a very special way because they would do random no tolerance zones, right? So, and they had city states. I think that's how theirs was too. And nice. So they didn't have it to where it was like all you can see is just cement and whatever.
Yeah.
Like they had beautiful grounds, right? Grass and luscious trees and everything. What they would do is they would have these areas and randomly they were picked. No ordinary citizen would know what area is picked. So if you happen to commit a crime in that area, you are sentenced and put to death.
Yeah.
So I think that's obviously that's too, that's like, that's overboard.
Right.
But that's how they kept themselves because nobody knew so nobody wanted to commit any crime.
That wouldn't actually work though.
No, yeah,
that would not work.
That would be way too.
It's in human nature to always try and push the limits until you get bit.
Yeah.
And so
exactly.
People would push the limits. Some people would die. It wouldn't stop people from pushing the limits. So it would probably cut it way back.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was an interesting technique, like a strategy to like combat some crime,
I don't know if interesting is the correct word, but sure. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. But yeah, I feel like I would want education to have to be at the forefront of everything to me.
I think education is incredibly important. Obviously, though, like huge amounts of the population are only going to go so far in their education unless they're forced to. And even then, like, not everyone is a physicist level intelligence. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think education is highly, highly important.
Yeah, but that would definitely be. And I was also thinking that what you said about clean energy through technology. When I was first thinking about the clean energy thing, I was thinking if you were able to like create the world, right? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't it be nice to have it to where the world could balance itself out, even with the humans?
The world does balance itself out.
Well, yeah, but humans are kind of messing that up a little bit.
Until the hurricanes come for us, man.
Yeah, I know.
And it's going to balance itself right the fuck out.
Oh, yeah. Once we're gone, the Earth, I have no doubt, can balance itself out. But I meant like with humans can balance its own self out to you know what I mean? Have it to where, it's not going to be difficult for us to have this clean energy. You know what I mean? Like,
it's honestly, I won't say it's not difficult, but it is not as difficult as it seems. It's just that we have lower incentive to do it in the now. And humans are notoriously bad at doing anything until they get a nice kick in the ass. And so, like, until we really get that kick in the ass, we won't do anything. So, like,
yeah, that's true.
It's just like we don't feel the incentive enough to do it, unfortunately, which sucks. It really sucks. But yeah. But I guarantee you, like, when our ass is to the fire, like, suddenly we're gonna fucking figure it out in like 10 years. Watch.
Oh yeah, I figure. Yeah, if it's
so
definitely
stupid.
something that when it's like push come to shove, we'll have somebody that's gonna come out. Oh wait, we should have done this
the whole time. We should have done this the whole time. As a matter of fact, we could have done this the whole time,
and we just weren't doing it. Yeah. Well, the almighty dollar has to like come through, for all the people who are doing this.
Yeah, in my Utopia, I would try and find some sort of system where there is no money. Money isn't a thing; it doesn't exist.
That's what I was thinking about that too. I was like, economics would be kind of.
Yeah, I would find if I get to make this Utopia, I'm gonna find some sort of way to make it work because the whole concept of a capitalistic economy is just not what I'm interested in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that could... Well, we obviously see the problems that can create. But if you could figure out a way to where it's something different than always just having, let me get all this money, you know what I mean? Like, that would be the best way to do it. Honestly, I feel like... I honestly feel like, man, the first thing I would need to have is that technology of the replicator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that would solve that whole problem.
Like, could solve a lot of that. Yeah, absolutely.
But, dude, could you imagine?
And that is all we have for you tonight. We will continue to bring you up-to-date coverage as new imaginings develop. Please don't forget to leave an iTunes review, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Remember, you can follow us on YouTube and on Twitter at DCYimagine. And if you would like to contact us or tell us what you are imagining, you can email us at dudecouldyouimagine@gmail.com. This has been Fritz Frivolous, and from all of us here at Dude Could You Imagine, keep on imagining.
All right, that one went up to 15 and a half minutes. Trying to get you back home to your baby.
Yeah.